So I'm just about to install my batteries, and apparently there is a new Australian standard, and this is something that's going to start affecting a lot of us out there with boats, is that your lithium batteries must be installed in a sealed box where there's an intake of air below and then a vent at the top of the box to the outside air. And that is going to be a bit of a problem for those of us with cats, because we're trying to take the vent from within or underneath generally our dinette module, about where your batteries sit, and then we have to vent it to the outside air. And my mate Darren, who's got a Changin Wilderness, is going through that insurance process at the moment, and they're very, very strict. And this is with one of the two big companies, and they've basically said they want it sealed. They want the box to the point where it can't just be opened easily. It must be screwed down, and then obviously you need access to it to check your wiring and your connections. But so what I've got to do, I've got to lay up a sheet of foam up in here. It's 40 degrees today, so not a good day to be laying up, but I'm about to install them, and I can't think of any other way to do this other than to put a sealed box around the actual battery compartment, and then another sealed lid on top with rubber gaskets or the like. So I've just set up. Janet and I have had a massive clean up in here. We've now got our entire floor space back, and we've got a 40-foot container of Delta kayaks arriving from Canada. Yeah, it's like arrived Boxing Day, and it's 2 days after Boxing Day, so it always comes this week. I don't know what it is. I ordered the friggin' thing in March. It is always late. It doesn't seem to matter when it comes, and you know, our season's halfway over by now, so I'm going to have to spend a week or so in early January getting all this stock out and into our stores so that we can try to make some money, because we're not making much money while we're building the boat, I'm telling you now. So I'm in here, I'm all set up, very noisy in here. I've got all the machines going, I've got the compressor on, got my air dryer on, my dew point's good, it's early in the morning. It's 40 degrees at about 11 o'clock, so it's around about 32 now. My resin pump's working, and in here I've got my cloth and a 10mm sheet of foam. I just don't have one piece big enough to complete this box, so I'll lay out this entire sheet. Only got this the other day, and I'll be able to complete this box and hopefully satisfy the requirements of the insurance companies. This is a bit of a big problem that's eventuating. Everyone's moving over to lithiums, and you know, for good reason, but then all the insurance companies don't seem to have been able to catch up with the standards and the type of batteries. They're using a classification somewhere that is actually not really applicable to these types of batteries, with internal BMSs, and the density's lower in these batteries as well. So the risk of fire is a lot less with these types of batteries, but certainly you do need to start to think about complying, or you're not going to get insurance. You're going to be sailing around without insurance if you don't do this. So just simply upgrading or retooling your boat with lithiums may not be that easy going forward. So watch this space. I'm possibly a test case for anyone building a boat, and you need to really watch this space. I honestly don't know how many sheets of this that I've laid up, but all I can tell you, it's a lot. So I'm ready to go. Here we go again. I'm going to time lapse it. I don't know how many more of these you really want to see. And you know, it's going to be 40 degrees today, so I'm going to get this done quick and get the friggin' hell out of here. After laying up that foam sheet, I've come in this morning, it's all set, and I've been chopping it up and making the components necessary to store these big bad boys. These are 200 amp hour lithium batteries, and I've got 4 of them to fit in here. Now they've got to roughly fit 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's a rough fit. Now to get this panel that I've made in here, it went in by about 1mm. It was either I was going to cut it in half and put it in and glue it in situ, or yeah, cut the bloody thing to pieces, all the way around the edge. Now luckily, by sanding back, and I had to do this anyway, by being able to sand back the edge of this combing rim, which this has got to go anyway because it's basically going to go all the way, I was able to get that in within millimeters. I couldn't believe it. So this panel here is going to fit against this wall here. As you can see here, I've got a conduit here, and I've got another one up the top there to carry our data lines. But this has to go basically there to separate the batteries from the existing or the rest of the boat. Now this section apparently has to be sealed, and this is going to be an issue for just about every boater. I've discussed this a couple of times. We're finding that when insurance companies are coming to do the assessment on your lithium installs, you need to have them in a sealed compartment, and that sealed means that it has screwed down lid top. It has to be vented through some sort of a vent, and I'm thinking some sort of bilge hose maybe up underneath there and up to the mast, where I can actually vent it to the outside. I don't want to be running it out to the hull sides because I don't want any water or any sort of condensation building. I just want to go straight up. Not really sure how I'm going to do that, but I'm working on getting this box made so that it is sealed. So this is going to be the battery compartment. I also need to stop them moving around. And then I'm going to put a lip on the top here. That's going to create the ability to put a lid down with some sort of rubber seal, and that means that there'll be no little hands getting into my battery compartments and playing with these guys here. You don't want that, particularly if it's dead shorted. If it gets dead shorted, it can throw something like 18 to 20,000 amps, and yeah, that's not really something I want to be playing around with. So yeah, the box will basically be complete in here. There's going to be a lot of detailed work putting this in, but just concentrate on the wiring and not have to worry too much about the certification going forward before I get the thing insured. Now I am insured here until July 12th. Zach and I have got about 2 weeks of solid work ahead of us right now because he's moving to New Zealand. I'm actually withholding Zach's passport because I'm going to sneak in and nick it out of his suitcase, and I'm going to hide it in my safe until the little bugger finishes the work with me, because if we don't get a live system here that's sort of semi-operational before he goes, I'm going to have a hell of a lot more study to do. And seriously, 90% of the time I think you guys have no freaking idea what I'm doing, and I try to explain it, but sometimes I just can't iterate the words to describe how awkward some things can be. And this is one of those classic examples. Here I'm trying to put this panel in place against this conduit here, but I have no way of laminating it to the floor on the other side. So I've come up with these little pieces of composite angle here. I'm going to screw them in, and I've glued them with epoxy, but I've had to screw them from this side because that's the only place I've got access to, and hopefully I can remove those screws later on. But I've done 2 of them. There will be a 3rd one, and that will then glue underneath this conduit here and secure that to the floor. So I've got to get epoxy onto the bottom of these composite angles, and that'll hold this panel in place. And then there's going to be a lip across the top of this that basically is going to hold our battery compartment lid. So it might sound simple just putting in a couple of bulkheads, but it's really not, because the more I build, the less access I have in behind stuff. So you've got to think things through before you start. I've got a batch here. This stuff's getting hot already, so it's a nicer, cooler day today, but you know, you're always under the pump. You're always trying to think things through 10 minutes ahead of you when you need to do it, and then you know, you just sort of get to the point where you just got to get in and get it done. So I've only got this tiny little edge because it has to go in under the conduit, and I have about 5 millimeters room to get my batteries in and out. So if I lose 2 millimeters or 3 millimeters here with it hitting that conduit, I may not be able to turn my batteries around, but hopefully I've got enough flex in it. But yeah, it's not that easy to get these sorts of things in place, and it's got to be dead level with the floor too. That's given it some support on the back. Now, before I put glue on that, I need to put in this. As you can see, everything only just fits into this thing. Now this has to be positioned to create a lip, which is basically going to form the seal for my lid. And very important that I've got this in the right position, because I'm going to have a 10mm foam core lid that's going to seal with a rubber strip here on the top, and it will be screwed down to make sure that I comply with any standards that might be available now and upcoming, because there's I think there's going to be a lot of very interesting developments in the lithium battery sphere, particularly on boats, given the amount of people that are now switching over to lithium. So for now, I'm just going to get some glue on this guy. It's only along the bottom. Alright, so we'll get this guy in place here. Alright, as you can see, I've got this lip in place, and this will have a nice little radius on it eventually, but essentially that's going to create a nice little lip to put a lid on, and I can seal it pretty effectively. There's going to be another one intersecting along here, another panel exactly the same as this one, and what I can do is I can actually core this out and fill this with a bit of filler and get this all nice and level, so I'm not relying just on the foam. They're not that essential because it's not going to be carrying any load, but it is going to be a very good sealing system for the battery compartment. I'm really happy I've decided to go with this and do it all now. What I love about Jeff, he just gets into it. After 3 hours we've been talking though, haven't we?
It's been good though.
Jeff's had the full rundown. He knows our boat well, don't you, mate?
Very well. Now I have to do some work.
Get to work. All right. Well, I'm pretty happy with that. I can now put this wall in. I know where it's got to go. I'm just going to mark it on here, get it in place, and then I can worry about fabricating a lid and the seal and everything later on. I've still got a lot of wiring to do in here. That'll all be done next week when Zach comes back. And as I mentioned, Zach's not leaving for New Zealand until his job's done. So if he wants to go to New Zealand, he better get working. He's going to be living with us for the next 2 weeks from Tuesday. And fortunately, he's going to work 24 hours a day, because he doesn't know that yet, but he's going to. Check out this legend. Well done, mate.
Well, bad timing. I'm doing a tricky bit.
Down on his knees. Working hard. Good lad. Oh, that's 3 hours I don't have to spend on my knees, mate. You have no idea. Love you, Jeffrey. You're a good lad. He's done a great job. He's actually, we've got tabbing all the way along the wardrobe here. So all the roads on this boat are all integrated with tabbing. There's nothing sitting loose. Every single thing is glassed in here. He's done down the side here. Got some serious strobing with that LED light. I'll have to change the frame rate or something, I don't know. Alright mate, I'm going into the sugar scoop for the most least favourite thing I could ever do.
Good luck.
So come on Nick, get me out with a crane if I don't make it out.
I'll send in the dust extractor first.
Oh, I've got my air-fed respirator. I think that's the only way to go.
Yeah.
Well, I'm off. Alright, so for my least favourite part of the build, and that is sanding in the hull extension. So I'm going here, I have to basically get in there and sand all of the renovations that I've done. So I'm going in, and I'm going in hard. Believe it or not, I've actually matured enough these days to wait until I need to work in confined spaces so that someone's around, just in case I get into difficulty. This also applies when I'm working with strong chemicals, as the fumes can be somewhat hazardous, even when you're working with full face protection. External air source is always preferable. In this case, I used my external PAPR powered respirator. I had the intake sitting on top of the step, taking in clean air from the outside, and it basically still made it very hard with the space constraints. Alright, my job this morning is to tab all of this, and this, and it's getting hot. So I'm going to get in and do it straight away. I probably should have been there about 4 o'clock this morning to do this, but along there, it's all overhead tabbing. It's going to be very awkward, and I'm not looking forward to it. But yep, this sucks. Don't ever let it be said that I haven't tabbed every single join, seam, module in this boat. Nothing has been left to chance. I'll just take it in here. We're up in here. There are 2 layers of 600 double bias there. I'm about to peel ply that. That was challenging enough, especially in this tiny little space I'm in here. But I'm going to basically do all the way around this here, but yeah, I'm basically halfway done with this cleat here. So these are very important you do these cleats, because the last thing you want is this ugly join. You want a nice glass laminated join, and yeah, that's looking pretty good. Which is I'm trying to show you a bit of backhand technique. You go like this and you dip your brush with your fingers, because I've got a lot of working room. Try to get rid of the excess and slop it on. That's the only way it can go on. Oh yeah, perfect. Look at that. Who is this guy? We'll get a little bit of this. A little bit of this happening. I could do a friggin' 10 video series on overhead tabbing. Small amounts, and don't put it up wet because you're asking for it. It'll just lean back in your lap. And then I'll put on my 150mm wide sheet and totally overlap and get my maximum grip and hold on the substrate. Tucking in, yes. This is how you do it, boys. Small lengths. Don't go for too much length. Not what we're taught as young blokes. Shorter the better. Sorry, I'm talking to myself here, but fucking it out of me. Oh, right. Not about the size. The longer the piece, the harder it is to work with. That's what I've always been taught. Well, that really sucked, working down in there. I've sanded it all, got it all ready, and the good thing is, while I'm doing that, I got Jeff on his knees down in the port side, mate. Doing a great job. Look at this. Yeah. Boys tabbing away. God, you trashed my bedroom. Look at that. Yeah. All you do, you're going to town. That's unreal. He's raging. Look at that.
This is going right.
Fantastic, mate.
Nice.
So this is it, tabbing our modules in. Wow, beautiful. Yeah, it's nice and cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Given it was 43 in here the other day.
Yeah,
that looks really good, mate. That's unreal. And you see how quickly it goes off on a hot, sort of a semi-hot day. But you imagine what it's like on a 40-degree day. You got 5 minutes. You're doing like an inch at a time.
So you'd catalyse it less then, or do you still?
Oh, I don't change it, but I just do tiny quantities because I'm not prepared to waste it. Not prepared to waste it. Yeah, that's looking really good in there. Brilliant. All right, I'll let you get back to it. I'm going to get back to it. All right, next day, I'm going to check Jeff's work here. This is the most satisfying part, is peeling that off. Yeah. Feel that? Still a bit tacky. That's because it wasn't that hot last night. Yeah, you still peel it off. Just takes a little bit of time to cure. That's a good feeling, isn't it? And just bin that. Is that still wet? No? No, that's all right. It's all going to get sanded, and that'll take another day or so to cure, and then I'll be able to sand that back. So there's plenty more peel ply there for you to rip off, mate. And pretty satisfying, isn't it?
It is.
We're only saying that every time we film Jeff, he's got a mask on, so this is what his real voice sounds like. Here, say something. I'm going to overdub. I'm going to overdub something to that.
I've got nothing to say now.
Well, that's rare. Good stuff. Well, we've got full integration of this room now. I'm pretty happy. Not only does the guy do laminating, but he washes up too. This is the best house guest you'll ever have. This guy, fair dinkum, hasn't stopped working. Look at him.
Well, I've drunk all your beer and eaten all your food.
Yeah, he's been eating our
we've
food.
got seafood galore. Oh, it's
Yeah,
great.
we've got an idea. We're going to paddle down and see the fireworks down at Huskisson, and we're going to basically go down there and sit on the sand spit.
Next New Year's we'll be down on the boat.
We hope to be on the boat next New Year. Yeah, are you going to be back?
Yeah.
Jeff's going away for about 7 months holiday, so he's taken off around Australia. So I'm pretty jealous. But while he's doing that, I'm going to finish the boat, and he'll come back and enjoy the spoils of his work over the last couple of days.
Your labours.
Yeah, the joys of my labours. Yeah, that's right, the spoils.
That's
Righto. All right, so we've gotten ourselves organised. So Janet, what do you got in there for us? About time you made an appearance on a video. What do you got in there?
Bottle of Moe.
Bottle of Moe. A bottle of Moe. Where did that come from? Oh, Brett and Lee bought a bottle of Moe. Yeah, what else?
Some beers.
Some beers, right on. We've got our kayaks out ready to go. And we're going to paddle down, and Jeff and Dagmar bought their Delta double, beautiful kayaks, and we happen to be the distributor for Delta kayaks here in Australia. And we're going to paddle down to the Huskisson sand spit, which is about probably 2 or 3 kilometre paddle. All right, I've got my little brother Brett.
Ready to go.
Well, he's not so little, but he's tall.
Go,
You all geared up?
yeah, mate.
That's it. He's got his red light, he's got his nav light. He looks
Night vision.
like Phil Collins in Genesis.
Night vision.
Here you go, kitty.
Can you feel it in the air tonight?
Let's go. Can you make this work?
Yeah, I can do it. All right, Jeff and Dagmar are ready. Bit different to 6 hours ago, and we're laminating, mate, wasn't it?
Oh, that was much better. But
Looking good. We got our Seaward kayaks, our Delta kayaks, our Synergy kayaks, which is our brand, and my beautiful Timber Josephine. Not Josephine, Josephine. Here we go. Check this out. Doing it.
Where should we put it down? Would you put it down?
Yeah, come a bit further. Just sit it there, that'll be all right.
Sorry, no, it's my fat ass.
We don't know where we're going to land, so stick together as we go down the river, because it could be pretty busy down there tonight.
good.
Mate, look at him, Synergy kayaks.
Onto the water.
Doesn't get any better.
Kayaks in Australia. Coming soon. To a store near you. Beautiful night on JB.
Nice kayak. I'm talking about the wooden one.
This is a nice kayak.
Yeah, it is a nice kayak. Righto, we're on the spit, and it's a private spit. Let's everybody go.
No, it's that.
Come on.
It's that tropical island.
Hey, my ears are glowing. I look like a punk beaver. Maybe not a beaver.
You look like you look like the New Year's bunny.
Doesn't look like a punk.
Sorry.
How cool is this? Something going up behind me and over here. Who needs Sydney?